Hello everyone, my name is Arush. I'm a functional consultant with Western Computer, and welcome to my second video on data migration with the Dynamics 365 operations. Last time we looked at how to set up data sources to migrate with, and this time we're going to look at data entities and how to process a load. Let's start by clicking on this tile called Data Entities within the Data Management workspace. Now the data entities are much like the target entities were in AX 2012. These are the various loads that come pre-built out of the box for you to use at Go Live and then potentially even after Go Live if so need be. What can happen is you can load to any of these values. However, it's highly recommended that you test them in a testing environment before actually using them in production. So let me go to one and we can use it as an example. I'm going to look at customers. This is our customers entity, and it will allow us to load to customers. Now, I want to highlight a few differences, or actually really just one main difference between a data entity in Dynamics 365 operations and a target entity in AX 2012. Let's start with the entity structure. When you load a customer, it goes to multiple places within the system. You create something in the customer table, you create something in the global address book, you create addresses in the address table, you create electronic contact information, such as phone or emails. All of these happen. And in AX 2012, you could have gone in there and seen all the various tables that get loaded to. In Dynamics 365 operations, however, we now have a decentralized data entity. And what that means is you load to this entity, and the entity is in charge of loading to the various areas within AX. This is a great help for non-data migration areas such as integrations with other systems. These are now your main point of contact between this system and anywhere else. If you're using OData, these can be utilized as well. Now, from a consultant migrations perspective, it does have its drawbacks. It was easier in the old AX 2012 to see field types and different tables. However, it can still do much the same, and so that's what we're going to go with. The second area that I want to show is these target fields. The target fields are the various fields that you load to. Based on the name, you can often understand what they are going to. For example, address state means what state is the address in. Now, it doesn't tell you anymore which table that's going to. In the past, you would have seen that this is going to go into the addresses table. Now, everything is shown going to the customer entity. So what we have again, we have decentralized. Now, to actually run an upload, your headers must have the exact same name as what it says here. If you're doing this for multiple times, if you're doing multiple cutovers, or you're doing mock cutovers, if you're practicing, it's highly recommended that you make sure you get all the names correctly into your Excel file, of which I have a sample already created. It's definitely suggested that you should make sure you get all your headers correct. However, if you're starting this off initially, you can start with just estimating and then figuring it out on the fly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that method and compare how they differ. So option A is to go through all these fields, determine which ones you need, and add them into your file. The alternative is to build a file with the fields that you need and then eventually find what the correct headings are. So that's what I'm going to do. So as you can see here, I have a customer. I'm giving it account number AK001, Arush's test customer, group 10, payment terms net 30, and method of payment is check. This is my file, and this is what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to save this. And so now let's look at how to process an upload. So back in the workspace, I'm going to click this import button. I'm going to give this job a name, so I'll call this customer load demo. My format of my data is Excel. And my entity name is the one I showed earlier, which is customers. Then I go ahead and I'm going to press this upload button and find my file. And as you can see here, what it's telling me is that there's something wrong with my mapping. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click View Map. So based on my file, I got two of them correct. Name was an accurate header, payment terms was an accurate header. These three were wrong. Now, for customers with its multitude of fields, one of the things that's nice, and this is true for all entities, is that you can find, and I'm going to show this to you, if I go to customer account, see it has a red star next to it. That means that this is a required field. So you can use this view to determine what's a required field when you go about running your upload. Now, this only has what's required for the data entity. So if you have something set up, such as, is your customer group required? Well, it may be, but according to the entity, it's not. This is just the bare bones of what is required for the table. If there's any other logic for any fields that are required, that will not show. However, it is a good starting point. So as you see here, we have customer account. Now, if you want to fix this on the fly, you can click this mapping details, and you can then type in the actual field that it should have been. So this was customer, and if I hit this down, you see, oh, customer account. Beautiful. All right, in my customer group, I believe this was customer group ID, and indeed it was. And for method of payment, payment method. So again, this is not very easy, and it is recommended that you go and fix this within your file. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to make this one customer account. I'll make this customer group ID, and I'm going to create this as payment method. And I'm just going to save that. But I'll save this here by pressing the save button. I'm going to close this. I'll hit the refresh button, and now you can see we have a check mark. So I'm going to go ahead and import this. And I'll close, and it'll run, and I'm going to press refresh again. Oh, and you see I have an error. So clearly I made some kind of mistake. So we see we had one, but none were updated. So let's go look at my staging data. And by clicking that view staging data, it'll tell you what were my mistakes. So I was missing the field country region, and I was missing currency. So I'm going to go back into my file, and I'll put in country region, and I'll put in currency. Once again, I'm not sure if these are the correct names. So I'm just going to put in USA and USD. So I save that, and let's go ahead and rerun the upload. So once again, I'm going to pick customers. I'm going to go upload, and I'm going to find my file, and I'm going to overwrite my existing entity because now I have a new one. Oh, and I still have an error. So now if I go to my view map, you'll see that the 5 that I had before are now all correct, but my new ones are wrong. Now I happen to know these from experience, that country region is address country region ID, and my currency is called sales currency code. So again, it is very beneficial to get these ahead of time, but the first time you do it, going this route and then making sure you update your file as you go can be very beneficial. So sales currency code, address country region ID. It is not case sensitive, so if you do something like what I just did with the uppercase O, that is not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Close, refresh, I have my check mark. Let's go ahead and import. All right, I'm going to refresh here. Ooh, and I still have an error. So let's go take a look. And it seems that N30 is not a valid payment term. So even in your data, Dynamics 365 operations will do validation. So in this case, N30 is not an accurate payment term, and therefore it will not let me load. So if I go into my accounts receivable and under setup, I look at terms of payment, and we see it's net 30, not N30. So I'm going to go back, net 30, save this again, and now I can reprocess my upload. As you can see, this can often take multiple iterations, and that's fine. You want to practice, you want to make sure that you get everything in a correct state. Now, one of the things you can see here is you can see your old data projects. So my old one, customer load demo, is still here. So I'm going to go ahead and load my project. Once again, pick Excel, customers, pick my file. Yes. And I'm going to import. And this time when I refresh, and you can see here we have one in target, you have your giant check mark, You can see your bar here, and we have successfully loaded. If I go into my customers, you can see AK001. So we have successfully completed an import of a customer. I hope you found that helpful. See me in my next demonstration, and we'll continue our series on data migration. Thank you.